What if I told you that everything you think you know about burning stubborn belly fat is fundamentally flawed? We've been sold a lie, a grueling, sweat-drenched myth that the only path to a flat stomach is through endless crunches, punishing hours on the treadmill, and starving yourself with salads. You've tried it, haven't you? You've pushed through the workouts, you've felt the hunger pangs, you've seen the scale move a little, but that deep, visceral fat clinging to your midsection, the kind that feels less like a layer and more like a part of you, just refuses to budge. It's the most frustrating feeling in the world, and it's not your fault. The reason that approach fails is because it's targeting the symptom, not the cause. Visceral fat isn't just stored energy. It's an active, dangerous organ, pumping out inflammatory chemicals and hormones that disrupt your entire system, locking that fat in place in a vicious cycle of inflammation and storage. But what if the key wasn't about doing more, but about understanding more? What if the secret was hidden not in your gym schedule, but in your body's own internal clock, in the subtle signals you send it with every single bite of food? This is not about another temporary diet or a fitness fad. This is about a fundamental biological reset, a 14-day trick that works with your body's innate wisdom, not against it, to systematically melt away that dangerous visceral fat from the inside out. And I'm going to walk you through every single step of it, starting with the most critical, misunderstood element of all, the hormonal master switch that controls fat storage. For decades, we've been trapped in the calories in, calories out model, a simplistic equation that has led to billions of dollars wasted and millions of people feeling like failures. The truth is, a calorie is not just a calorie. Your body doesn't handle 100 calories from a sugary soda the same way it handles 100 calories from broccoli. The soda triggers a cascade of hormonal events, primarily driven by the hormone insulin, that scream store fat to your liver and your fat cells, especially the visceral ones. Visceral fat is uniquely sensitive to insulin. It has up to 4 times more insulin receptors than the fat under your skin. So when you eat a diet high in processed carbohydrates and sugars, you are essentially pouring gasoline on the visceral fat fire. Your insulin levels spike, and those receptors on your visceral fat cells eagerly suck the energy from your bloodstream and pack it away deep in your abdomen. This is the core of the problem. The 14-day trick we're starting today is designed to directly address this. It's a strategic approach to eating that focuses on calming the insulin storm, resetting your body's sensitivity to this powerful hormone, and flipping the metabolic switch from fat storing to fat burning. We call this state nutritional ketosis, but don't let the scientific term intimidate you. In simple terms, it means your body becomes so efficient at burning fat for fuel that it begins to preferentially target your stored fat reserves, with visceral fat being a prime energy source. So, what is this trick? It's a structured, time-restricted eating protocol combined with a very specific food framework. For the next 14 days, you will be adopting what is known as a circadian rhythm, aligned, low-carbohydrate eating window. Let's break that down into 2 powerful components. First, the time-restricted eating, often called intermittent fasting. You will consume all of your daily calories within an 8-hour window. For example, you might have your first meal at noon and your last meal by 8 p.m. This gives your digestive system and your insulin levels a full 16 hours of rest and recovery each day. During this fasting window, your insulin levels have a chance to drop to a low, stable baseline. When insulin is low, your body can access its stored fat for energy. This is the metabolic magic that starts the melting process, but the timing alone isn't enough if you're still eating the wrong foods. That's where the second component comes in, the food framework. During your 8-hour eating window, you will focus on whole, unprocessed foods. Your plate should be built on a foundation of healthy fats like avocados, olive oil, nuts, and seeds, a moderate amount of high-quality protein from sources like eggs, fish, chicken, and grass-fed meat, and a generous amount of non-starchy vegetables like leafy greens, broccoli, cauliflower, and peppers. The goal is to keep your net carbohydrate intake, total carbs minus fiber, below 50 grams per day. This combination of a compressed eating window and a low carb, high fat, moderate protein diet is the 1-2 punch that will shock your system out of its fat storing mode. By the end of the first 3 days, you will likely notice a significant drop in bloating and a new sense of mental clarity, the first signs that your body is making the switch. This is just the beginning. The real, deep work on your visceral fat starts now, as we reprogram your metabolism at the most fundamental level. Now that we've established the foundational principle of insulin management, let's dive deeper into the why behind the visceral fat's stubbornness and how this 14-day trick systematically dismantles its defenses. Visceral fat, also known as intra-abdominal fat, is not the passive, jiggly stuff you can pinch. It's a metabolically active organ that wraps around your internal organs, your liver, pancreas, and intestines. It acts like a rogue endocrine gland, pumping out inflammatory cytokines like TNF-alpha and IL-6, and flooding your system with free fatty acids. This creates a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation throughout your entire body. This inflammation is a double-edged sword. First, it directly contributes to insulin resistance. Your muscle and liver cells, bombarded by inflammatory signals, start to ignore insulin's instructions to take in glucose from the blood. Your pancreas, in a panic, produces even more insulin to force the issue, leading to even higher insulin levels, which, as we know, tells your visceral fat cells to store even more fat. It's a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle. More visceral fat leads to more inflammation, which leads to more insulin resistance, which leads to more visceral fat. This is the biological prison that keeps you stuck. The second devastating effect of this inflammation is on your brain. These inflammatory markers can cross the blood-brain barrier, interfering with the hormones that regulate appetite and satiety, like leptin and ghrelin. You start to feel hungrier, less satisfied after meals, and you develop powerful cravings for the very sugary, starchy foods that got you into this mess in the first place. It feels like a loss of willpower, but it's actually a biochemical hijacking orchestrated by your own visceral fat. Our 14-day protocol is specifically engineered to break this cycle with surgical precision. By drastically reducing your carbohydrate intake, you are removing the primary driver of the insulin spikes. Your insulin levels plummet and stay low. This is the first and most critical break in the chain. With insulin low, the hormonal lock on your fat cells is removed, allowing the stored fat to be released and burned for energy. But we're going a step further. The healthy fats you are now consuming, and that your body is now burning, are powerful anti-inflammatory agents. Omega-3 fatty acids from foods like fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, and flax seeds actively combat the inflammation caused by the visceral fat. Medium-chain triglycerides, MCTs, from coconut oil are rapidly converted into ketones, which are not only a super clean fuel for your brain, but also have their own anti-inflammatory properties. So, while you're burning the visceral fat for fuel, you're also dousing the inflammatory fires it was creating. This 1-2 punch, lowering insulin and fighting inflammation, is what makes this approach so uniquely effective for targeting visceral fat specifically. You are not just creating a calorie deficit. You are changing the entire metabolic and inflammatory environment of your body, making it hostile to visceral fat storage and hospitable to its breakdown. Let's talk about the practical application for days 4 through 7. By now, your body is becoming increasingly adapted to burning fat. You might be past the initial adjustment phase and starting to feel the real benefits. Sustained energy throughout the day without the 3 p.m. crash, a reduction in mind fog, and a noticeable change in the tightness of your belt. This is the phase where the magic really starts to become visible. It's crucial during this time to stay impeccably hydrated, As your body burns through its glycogen stores, it releases a significant amount of water. You need to replenish it. Aim for at least 3 to 4 liters of water per day, and make sure you are supplementing with electrolytes, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. A simple trick is to add a pinch of high-quality sea salt to your water and eat plenty of avocado and leafy greens for potassium. This will prevent the headaches, fatigue, or muscle cramps that can sometimes accompany this metabolic transition. Remember, this is not a sign that the plan isn't working. It's a sign that your body is actively dumping water weight and adapting, and it needs your support. Your meals should now feel satisfying and nourishing. A typical lunch might be a large salad with mixed greens, grilled chicken, avocado, olives, a handful of walnuts, and a generous drizzle of extra virgin olive oil and lemon juice. Dinner could be a piece of wild, caught salmon pan-seared in butter with a side of roasted asparagus and cauliflower mash. You are not counting calories. You are eating until you are pleasantly full, focusing on the quality and composition of your food. This phase is about solidifying the new metabolic pattern you've ignited. Your body is learning to trust fat as its primary fuel source, and in doing so, it's beginning to see that stockpile of visceral fat not as a permanent fixture, but as an expendable energy reserve ready to be melted away. As we move into the second week of this 14-day visceral fat melt, we're going to introduce a layer of nuance that will supercharge your results: the critical importance of sleep and stress management. You can be perfect with your diet and your eating window, but if you are chronically sleep deprived or stressed, you are fighting an uphill battle against powerful hormonal forces. Let's talk about cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone. Cortisol, in acute bursts, is fine and even beneficial, but when it's elevated chronically due to poor sleep, emotional stress, or even the physical stress of overexercising, it becomes a major driver of visceral fat storage. Here's how it works. Cortisol's evolutionary job is to prepare you for a fight or flight situation. It raises your blood sugar to give your muscles immediate energy. To handle this surge of blood sugar, your body must release insulin. And as we now know, high insulin equals fat storage, particularly visceral fat storage. Furthermore, cortisol and insulin have a synergistic relationship. High cortisol levels make your fat cells, especially those in the abdomen, more sensitive to the fat-storing effects of insulin. It's a perfect storm. This is why two people can follow the exact same diet, but the one who is stressed and sleep-deprived will hold onto stubborn belly fat, while the other melts it away effortlessly. Therefore, for days 8 through 11, your assignment is to prioritize sleep as if your life depends on it, because, metabolically speaking, it does. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality, uninterrupted sleep per night. To make this happen, you need to create a powerful sleep ritual. 1 hour before bed, dim the lights in your house and put away all blue, light-emitting screens, your phone, your laptop, your TV. The blue light suppresses the production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. Instead, read a physical book, listen to calming music, take a warm bath with Epsom salts which provides magnesium, or practice gentle stretching. Your bedroom should be a cave, completely dark, quiet, and cool. This environment is optimal for triggering deep, restorative sleep. This is not a luxury. It is a non-negotiable part of the visceral fat melting protocol. During deep sleep, your body undergoes repair and regeneration. Your growth hormone, which is a potent fat burner, is released. Your brain cleans out metabolic waste, and crucially, your cortisol levels naturally drop to their lowest point. By mastering your sleep, you are actively lowering one of the most potent drivers of visceral fat accumulation. Alongside sleep, we must address daily stress. The goal isn't to eliminate stress entirely, That's impossible, but to change your body's response to it. When you feel stressed, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid, which reinforces the panic signal to your nervous system. You can break this cycle with a simple but profound tool: deliberate, deep breathing. Several times a day, especially if you feel tension rising, take a 2-minute breathing break. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 7, and exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. This technique, known as coherent breathing or the 4-7-8 method, activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, which directly counteracts the stress response and lowers cortisol. Do this before meals to improve digestion and before bed to promote better sleep. The combination of strategic eating, quality sleep, and controlled breathing is a trinity of metabolic power. You are no longer just attacking the fat from one angle. You are creating a holistic environment of low insulin, low inflammation, and low cortisol, a trifecta that is utterly lethal to visceral fat. During this phase, you may notice that your clothes are fitting significantly looser, and you might even see a more defined shape emerging from your midsection. This is the direct result of your body finally feeling safe enough to let go of its deep, inflammatory fat stores, because you have systematically removed the hormonal signals that were telling it to hold on for dear life. We are now in the home stretch, days 12 through 14, and this is where we consolidate the gains and lock in this new metabolic flexibility for the long term. By now, your body is an efficient fat-burning machine. The cravings for sugar and processed carbs have likely vanished, replaced by a stable, steady energy that feels natural and sustainable. This is the hallmark of metabolic health. But we have one more powerful lever to pull, one that enhances the benefits of everything we've done so far: targeted nutrient timing and the strategic use of movement. Notice I said movement, not exercise. We are not going to launch into a brutal workout regimen that spikes your cortisol and makes you ravenously hungry, potentially undoing your hard work. The type of movement we will incorporate is designed to work in harmony with your new fat-adapted state to further accelerate visceral fat loss without triggering a stress response. The most effective form of movement for this specific goal is something known as fasted, low-intensity, steady, stateless cardio. Here's the protocol for these final 3 days. In the morning, during your fasting window, engage in 30 to 45 minutes of gentle movement. This could be a brisk walk outside, a slow cycle on a stationary bike, or a gentle session on an elliptical machine. The key is to keep your heart rate in a comfortable, conversational zone. You should be able to hold a conversation without gasping for breath. Why fasted? Because you have already spent the last 16 plus hours in a low insulin state, and your body is primed to burn fat. By adding gentle movement to this fasted state, you are directing your body's energy needs almost exclusively to your fat stores. And since your insulin is already low, there's no hormonal signal telling your body to stop. This is a targeted strike on your fat reserves, and visceral fat is highly accessible in this scenario. It's like sending in a special forces team to clean up after the aerial bombardment of your dietary changes. This is not about burning a massive number of calories, it's about signaling. You are teaching your body that it is safe and even preferable to use its internal fat stores for fuel during daily activities. Now, let's talk about nutrient timing for performance and recovery. While you are doing this fasted cardio, it is perfectly fine, and even beneficial, to drink black coffee or green tea. The caffeine can help mobilize fatty acids from your fat tissues, making them even more available for burning. After your walk, you will break your fast at your usual time, say noon, with a meal that is strategically rich in protein and healthy fats. This meal will help repair any minor muscle breakdown and replenish your energy stores without spiking your insulin. A great post-faster cardio meal could be a 3-egg omelet cooked in butter with spinach, mushrooms, and a side of avocado. The combination of protein and fat will keep you satiated and fuel you through the rest of your eating window. For your other meal of the day, continue to focus on the core principles: plenty of vegetables, a good source of protein, and healthy fats. As you approach the end of the 14 days, take a moment to reflect on the non-scale victories. How is your energy? How is your mood? How is your digestion? How does your mind feel? Is the brain fog gone? These are often more significant and lasting indicators of health than any number on the scale. The reduction in visceral fat is the physical manifestation of a deeper, systemic healing that has taken place. You have recalibrated your hormones, quieted chronic inflammation, and reset your metabolic clock. You have given your body the signals it needed to finally release the fat it was holding onto for survival, and in its place, you have built a foundation of metabolic resilience that will serve you for years to come. You have reached the end of the 14-day protocol. Take a deep breath and acknowledge what you have accomplished. You have not just followed a set of rules, you have undertaken a powerful biological experiment on yourself, and the results speak for themselves. That feeling of a flatter, firmer stomach, the looser fit of your clothes, the surge of steady energy, the mental clarity, these are not illusions. They are the direct, measurable outcomes of you breaking the cycle of insulin resistance and inflammation that was locking your visceral fat in place. You have successfully used a targeted, science-backed trick to melt the most dangerous type of fat in your body, and you did it without a single punishing workout designed for that purpose. You worked smarter, not harder, by understanding and manipulating the fundamental levers of your metabolism: insulin, inflammation, and cortisol. This knowledge is now your power. The question that naturally arises now is, what's next? The worst thing you could do is to consider this a 14-day sprint, and then immediately return to the old habits that created the problem in the first place. That would be like meticulously cleaning a room and then throwing a bucket of mud all over it again. The goal of this protocol was not just to create a 14-day transformation. It was to provide you with a blueprint for lifelong metabolic health. So, let's talk about the transition into a sustainable lifestyle. You do not need to remain in a strict low-carb 60-hour fasting state forever unless you feel amazing doing so. The principle here is metabolic flexibility. You have now trained your body to be an efficient fat burner. You can now gently widen your metabolic window. Perhaps you shift to a 10 or 12-hour eating window most days. You can also slowly reintroduce some healthy, higher-carb foods, but you must do so strategically and with awareness. Start with nutrient-dense carbohydrates like sweet potatoes, squash, carrots, beets, and seasonal fruits like berries and apples. Introduce them one at a time, and preferably around your periods of activity. For example, having a sweet potato with your dinner after a day where you were more active is a better strategy than having a banana first thing in the morning while sedentary. Pay close attention to how your body responds. Do you feel bloated? Do you get tired? Do you get cravings? Your body will give you clear feedback. The goal is to find your personal carbohydrate tolerance, the amount of carbs you can eat while maintaining your energy, your weight, and your health, without re-triggering insulin resistance. This is the art of lifelong maintenance. Think of your body now as a finely tuned instrument. You have spent 14 days calibrating it. You now know the impact of food, sleep, stress, and movement. You have the tools. The deep breathing, the prioritization of sleep, the focus on whole foods, these are your new defaults. You can use the 14-day trick as a reset button anytime you feel you need it, after a vacation, a holiday, or a period of stress. It's a tool in your toolbox forever. The visceral fat you have melted away was actively harming your health, and by keeping it off, you are dramatically reducing your risk for type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and certain cancers. You are investing in a higher quality of life for decades to come. This journey has been about so much more than aesthetics. It has been about reclaiming your health and your vitality from the inside out. You have proven to yourself that change is possible, that the conventional wisdom is often wrong, and that you have the power to reshape your body by first understanding the science that governs it. You have done the hard work. You have followed through. You have achieved what millions believe is impossible. Now, move forward with this knowledge, this confidence, and this new, powerful relationship with your own body, equipped to maintain these incredible results for a lifetime. If this transformation has felt as revolutionary to you as I know it can be, then do me a huge favor, share this video with one person who needs to see it, a friend, a family member, a colleague who is struggling with the same frustrations you once had. Pay this knowledge forward and become the person who helps someone else break free. And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because we are just getting started. We will continue to break down complex health topics into simple, actionable steps you can use to optimize your life. This is not the end, it's just the beginning of your health journey. Now, I want to hear from you. What was the biggest shift you noticed during these 14 days? Was it the energy, the reduced bloating, the mental clarity? Let me know in the comments section down below. Your story could be the inspiration that gives someone else the courage to start. Thank you for watching, for trusting me with your health, and for putting in the work. I'll see you in the next video.